CLIL stands for Content and Language Integrated Learning and refers to teaching subjects to students through a foreign language. While students are learning about the subject matter, they are also learning a new language alongside it. CLIL has four basic components, usually called the 4Cs curriculum, that combines four elements as follows: content, communication, cognition, culture.
In CLIL class, teachers should aim at a combination of content and language-focused instruction, which would enable the learners to use language for genuine communication as well as to attain a high level of content accuracy. Moreover, they should be careful not to take up most of the available speaking time with their explanations, so learners will have more practice in their target language. They should use the mother tongue only when necessary, and they should be provided with opportunities to develop their second language proficiency, as well as to take part in teacher training devoted to bilingual education. Students in the CLIL class need to explore and infer different types of knowledge from authentic sources, employing real-life communicative tools for this purpose. Moreover, they are normally required to participate in the process of assessment, which is enriched with a range of tools to be used by different ages.
CLIL activities usually follow the lesson framework, which looks at content and language in equal measure, and often follows a four-stage framework. First, processing the text. The base texts are those accompanied by illustrations so that learners can visualize what they are reading. Learners need structural markers in text to help them find their way through the content. Once core knowledge has been identified, the organization of the text can be analyzed. Second, identification and organization of knowledge. Texts are often represented diagrammatically. These structures are used to help learners categorize the ideas and information in the text. It is used to facilitate learning and the creation of activities that focus on both language development and core content knowledge. Third, language identification. Learners are expected to be able to reproduce the core of the text in their own words with no grading of language involved. However, it is a good idea for the teacher to highlight useful language in the text and to categorize it according to functions such as the comparison and contrast, location or describing a process, specific vocabulary, and so on. Fourth, tasks for students. A variety of tasks should be provided, taking into account the learning purpose and learner styles and preferences. The task should be included receptive skills and productive skills activities, such as listen and fill in the table or word guessing games.
And this is the example of CLIL material. It is used to teach the dice to Thai students in grade 6. It has to be in English and composed of 3 parts. First, it needs to have pictures providing for students to understand the content easily. Second, different colors are needed to help students categorize food types. Third, the questions under the diagrams are necessary to measure the students' understanding. Students might be required to read the questions out loud and circle true or false answers. The follow-up questions might be provided by the teachers afterward.
There are 2 main advantages of the CLIL class. First, language is learned in the context. Since the subject matter provides the further as well as the communicative context, students will have an easier time saving the lessons in long-term memory, since every word and concept in the target language are both relevant and meaningful. Second, language is learned naturally. In CLIL, there are hardly any grammar lessons or sentence structure. Instead, the class sees language in action, being used to communicate in a concentrated and relevant context. It's this active involvement that makes CLIL so effective. Third, language is innately tied to motivation. CLIL class is efficiently using students' innate motivation for the subject matter and indirectly channels it to a target language. The target language ultimately benefits from the natural interest a student has for each topic.
However, there are 2 main disadvantages of the CLIL approach. First, the teachers sometimes lack awareness in learners learning the language. Because the learners in different language proficiency have to learn in the same class, some teachers cannot use CLIL with the learners who are weak in L2 proficiency, so they are demotivated to learn. Second, teachers are lack of ability in either the language or the content. The teachers of language do not have enough knowledge of content, and the teachers of content cannot speak L2 appropriately. Thus, when the content teachers teach CLIL class, they might speak in their mother tongue, while language teachers do not focus on the content enough.